the Chi-Town experience on the flight. Let me go tune in to Keek on the mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the like.
Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Bears fans, first and foremost, once again, I just want to thank every single one of you guys for the continuing love and support you guys show Keek on the Mic. Your support definitely keeps me going and keeps me bringing Bears content to you guys on a daily basis. But I just want to let you guys know that you guys are appreciated. That's why I try my best to do as many giveaways as possible, just to give back to you guys for all the love and support you guys continue to show the channel as we continue to grow here on YouTube. So Bears fans, once again, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the 2025 NFL draft. And once again, we are another day closer to finding out who Ryan Poles and the Bears will select with the number 10 overall pick in the 2025 NFL draft. And I truthfully feel that the Bears could possibly have a change of plans in regard to what they actually do with that number 10 overall pick in round one of this year's NFL draft, just due to the fact that of this picture I saw of the players returning to Hallis Hall for their very first day of their voluntary offseason program, which I heard went really, really well. Got to hear from Caleb Williams and Jalen Johnson, and it sounds like everything is going really well. I know Caleb Williams is saying that Ben Johnson's already pushing him in the quarterback meeting, so I definitely love to hear that because he is ideally the most important player on this football team right now. The success of Caleb Williams probably means the success of the Chicago Bears long term. But what I really want to talk about on today's episode of Keek on the Mic is the picture that I saw of Gervon Dexter walking into Hallis Hall for the voluntary offseason program for the Chicago Bears. And when you look at this picture, Bears fans, I think all of us had the same reaction that, hey, Gervon Dexter looks really lean, looking really healthy. Looks like he's going to be faster this year on the football field. He's still 6'6", still says he's 300 plus pounds, but he is looking really lean going into year three. And it seems that with the recent slimming down of Gervon Dexter, that could signal that the Chicago Bears look to play Dexter more at defensive end. He did get some snaps at defensive end last season, and he had a really good year too for the Chicago Bears. 6 sacks, 14 quarterback hits, 39 total pressures, and I really think a big year three under new Bears defensive coordinator Dennis Allen is in store for a guy like Gervon Dexter. So here is a hypothetical scenario, because we talked about the Bears drafting an offensive lineman in round one, maybe a running back in round one, Tyler Warren, the tight end out of Penn State in round one. We've also talked maybe some trade down scenarios where they land some defensive linemen as well, guys like Kenneth Grant, maybe Walter Nolan as well in round one. But since I've seen this picture of Gervon Dexter, I've had this hypothetical trade up scenario in round one that I wanted to bring on today's episode of Keek on the Mic and just get your guys' opinion on this. So the hypothetical trade scenario for the Bears in round one is trading up with Jacksonville to number 5, where the Jags get pick 10, 41, and a 2026 third-round pick, and obviously the Chicago Bears would get pick number 5, and they would trade up 5 spots to land defensive tackle Mason Graham out of Michigan. And once again, we talked about Mason Graham before. Mason Graham and Abdul Carter are the only 2 prospects in this year's NFL draft in regard to round one that I would be very happy for Ryan Poles and the Bears to trade up for. Absolutely love Mason Graham as a prospect in this year's draft. 6'3", 320 pounds. Everyone says that he doesn't have the ideal arm length to really translate to the NFL. But to me, he is a very, very good player. He's fast. He's violent. He's relentless. Really good against the run. Graded out at a 92.6 overall run defense grade in 2024. Had 5 sacks, 9 quarterback hits, 20 hurries, and a 13.8 pass rush win rate, and a 91.1 overall PFF grade in 2024. He would make the perfect 3 technique for this Bears defensive line. And now check this out, because once again, this is hypothetical, saying that Gervon Dexter is going to split some time on the interior and at DN on this Bears defensive line. A Bears defensive line with Mason Graham in the fold could look something like this: Dayo Odeyingbo, Gervon Dexter, and obviously those two guys are interchangeable, because obviously Dayo Odeyingbo has a lot of versatility as well to play on the interior and DN as well. Mason Graham being your true 3 technique, and obviously Montez Sweat, with rotational guys being Andrew Billings and Austin Booker. I don't know about you Bears fans, but I would be very happy with this Bears defensive line. Obviously, Ryan Poles did a really good job in this offseason to go into free agency and attack the offensive line. We obviously got Grady Jarrett as well. I forgot to mention Grady Jarrett in this defensive line rotation as well. But he did a really good job of upgrading the trenches. But I think adding a guy like Mason Graham would be a tremendous step forward in completing this D-line here in Chicago. And I feel like this rotation of players would go absolutely crazy. You're talking about consistent pressure on the interior from guys like Gervon Dexter and Mason Graham. You're talking about consistent pressure on the outside from Dayo Odeyingbo and Montez Sweat. This would be a ridiculous unit here in Chicago. Mason Graham would take this unit over the top with the guys that we already have currently on the roster. And once again, this is just hypothetical. I know there's going to be a lot of Bears fans out there saying, you know what, Keek, let's keep our second round picks and maybe let's trade back from number 10. You can still land a guy like Kenneth Grant, Walter Nolan in round 1, guys like Darius Alexander or TJ Sanders in round 2. There's a lot of good quality defensive line prospects in this year's NFL draft, along with the running back prospects in this year's draft that Ryan Poles and the Bears could look at. So hypothetically, Bears fans, how are you feeling about this trade up to land, to me, a very good player in Mason Graham? Once again, the Bears would get pick number 5, and they would send Jacksonville number 10, 41, and a next year's 3rd round pick. And once again, that may be a little bit unrealistic. We may have to give up a next year's 2nd, or maybe even a next year's 1st, depending on how Jacksonville feels. But when I put this into the PFF mock draft simulator, that said this was a very fair trade, and the Bears were able to trade up 5 spots and land a very good player in Mason Graham. And once again, there's only 2 players in round 1 that I would trade up for, and that's Abdul Carter, edge rusher out of Penn State, and Mason Graham, defensive tackle out of Michigan. So let me know down below how you're feeling about the trade, and let me know if you guys would actually trade up to land a guy like Mason Graham in round 1 of the 2025 NFL Draft. But Bears fans, before I let you guys go on today's episode of Keek on the Mic, the Bears are actually predicted to make a blockbuster splash trade in round 1, and this was according to Pro Football Focus. They're basically going through a mock draft, and they feel like the Bears are going to make a win now move by trading up all the way to the number 2 overall pick with the Cleveland Browns to land edge rusher Abdul Carter. And their hypothetical scenario was this, Bears fans. They said the Bears would obviously get pick number 2, and the Cleveland Browns would get number 10, 39, 148, and a next year's 1st round pick. And Bears fans, we've all heard about Abdul Carter. To me, he is the 2nd best prospect, if not the best prospect in this year's NFL draft class. He's had a lot of comparisons to Micah Parsons. You think about the possibility by adding a guy like Abdul Carter, pairing him with Montez Sweat, with Grady Jarrett and Gervon Dexter and Dayo Odeyingbo. To me, that would just be just as beneficial as adding a guy like Mason Graham, right? Mason Graham and Abdul Carter would elevate this Bears defensive line here in Chicago, right? But once again, this is a win now move, right, for Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears. So if Ryan Poles was really considering trading all that draft capital to trade up for a prospect like Abdul Carter, and once again, I feel like Carter is a really good player and can elevate this Bears defensive line here in Chicago. But Ryan Poles and this organization would have to answer the question saying this: do we think that we can win right now? Right now, meaning this year, can we make a run for the Super Bowl this year or even next year? If they answer that question and say, hey, yeah, we feel like with Caleb Williams taking the next step, hopefully taking the next step, with Ben Johnson and all the pieces that we invested into this team this offseason, we feel that Abdul Carter is the final piece missing to take that next step. realistically, right, optimistically, as a Bears fan, of course, I want to see that for this team, right? I want to see the Bears take that next step. I want to see the team, win a lot of championships, make the Super Bowl, right? But at the end of the day, the Bears, to me, are close to win now, but we are not quite there yet. We have made a lot of strides. Ryan Poles and this organization did a really good job of upgrading the trenches, both on the offensive and defensive side, building this team the right way. But I still think we need to prove it on the football field. When you look at the Chicago Bears schedule, it's going to be a tough schedule this year. I'm not saying that we can't take that step up and possibly make the playoffs, but this team still has to prove it. A lot of people around the National Football League, meaning fans from different fan bases, like to call the Chicago Bears the offseason champs, which, quite frankly, the Bears have been offseason champs for the last 3 years, but doesn't mean that it translates on the football field. The Bears are doing everything right. Ryan Poles is building the right way. He's building through the trenches. You have your franchise quarterback in Caleb Williams. You are building through the trenches, building around Caleb Williams, protect him on the offensive line. You help the defensive line as well. You have weapons on the outside, right? You're going to probably add another couple of weapons, possibly in a running back in this year's NFL draft. The Bears are doing everything the right way, but it still has to translate on the field. If Ryan Poles decides to trade up for Abdul Carter, I would be absolutely stoked. Do I think we should trade up all the way to number 2? I don't know. That may be a stretch. And I think PFF's hypothetical trade scenario, I think the Bears would possibly have to give up more coming from 10 to number 2 to get the number 2 overall pick in this year's NFL draft, just due to the fact of the type of player Abdul Carter could possibly be in the National Football League. So to me, of course, I would love to have Abdul Carter on this Bears football team. But to me, I am not sure if I can confidently say that the Bears are in win now mode right now. Maybe after this season going into next year, the expectations that Caleb Williams takes that massive jump under Ben Johnson. I think next year, a lot of Bears fans, including myself, can confidently say, like, hey, the Bears are now in win now mode, but we still have to prove it this year on the football field to officially take that leap into that win now mode status. So Bears fans, let me know about this hypothetical scenario from Pro Football Focus, saying that they believe that the Bears will make a huge splash in round 1, trading up all the way to number 2 with the Cleveland Browns to land edge rusher Abdul Carter out of Penn State. Let me know down below if you would like that trade or if you would do that trade personally if you were Ryan Poles' shoes, down below in the comment section. But as always, Bears fans, make sure you guys continue to hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Geek on the Mic with every single Bears that you know. But other than that, be back for an all new Bears podcast right here on Geek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and as always, bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Geek on the Mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Geek on the Mic. You can go and subscribe, cause I be on it right. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Geek on the Mic.